know what? I think I'll hold it. Hey, everybody. No, I didn't give you any warning because this is the time I had. So I went to pop in and talk about the full moon in Pisces today. Total lunar eclipse. There are some people who will get to witness the full magnitude of this because they will be in the path of the totality. Hey, Adora. Hey, Barbara. What's up? Venusian stud. What is up, Buttercup? Uh, yeah. So there's a few people in this world that are standing under the fullness of the glory of the epiphany that this can bring. Wow. I mean, what in a werewolf moment we can come to regarding what we need to let go of and surrender. That's what we do in Pisces, right? We let go. It's the totality that we want to be absorbed into. It's transcendence. So the kind of surrender that is occurring with this particular lunar event, it can lead to the greatest things, the most unbelievable kind of aliveness or awakening. Because we transcend to a different level of relationship. So it's something that's pushing us closer as we get closer to the wrapping up of this eclipse cycle in 2027, getting us closer to that collective exit out of the old paradigms and into a life that we actually want. Because we have this choice to either continue to create a future we don't want or to consciously become co-creators and bring to reality a different kind of heaven on earth. So we're going into new earth or new Eden, new cycle of human awareness and how we participate in our physical reality, what it means to us, new value systems. So, I mean, there's just a lot to pick apart with this one. And I think that more astrologers have been talking about this one than your typical lunation cycle. I mean, this is one that's really caught the attention of people in a way that usual full moons or eclipses don't. That's for a reason, because it really is a demarcation point between the old world and the new world. We'll have a few demarcation points, splits, because look at it like a seam that you sew into a piece of fabric. Say here's the fabric, and then we have a seam going down the middle. As we go through these lunation events, we rip, rip, rip. See, it's all along the same trajectory. It's all going in the same direction here. It's leading up to the same point. But it doesn't happen all at once. And so we get these crunch periods where we tear at the seams. And this happens about over 35-year period of time. And it isn't like it has a definitive beginning. Because because we're talking about long period of outer planet cycles, they don't happen like all at once. It's something that's like a dream where it bleeds in to the old dream or the old experience, and then it, takes off. But there's that point of like overlap. So with inner planets, it's very easy to see with a very concise date and time, what happens here, because those are the timers, the triggers that we look at, the inner planets. But when we're looking at long-term social, political, world cycles, cycles of the ages and the eras, we are looking at cycles that kind of bleed into each other. And because of the nature of forward and then retrograde motion, that's where you get um, that zone of like an elongated period of time where we have one era going out and the new era coming in, like we see right now with Saturn and Neptune being at the very baby degrees of Aries, and then now going back retrograde, back into Pisces, and then going back into Aries. We can have a several year period of time where things are fully changing over or turning over into the new cycle. And so right now we're in a period of time where everything's up in the air. The like the stack of cards has been thrown up into the air, and we're playing a game of pickup. And so there's a enormous amount of confusion, which with Saturn just a few days ago, last week, going back into Pisces, absolutely is going to a snowball confusion, disintegration is going to snowball rapidly over the next months until we get into January and February, and then we're back into forward motion. We have Saturn and Neptune coming back into Aries. So when we have a lunation cycle like this today, it's a smaller cycle. It's a monthly cycle and then a 6-month cycle that can have us really feeling our personal participation in those longer term cycles because we exist in isolation. So another thing we're looking at is loss and grief today. Because there is a letting go of a lot of things that we thought would be illusions, assumptions. We can be feeling very hopeless at this time. We also have a minor hard aspect between Venus and Neptune. We can be feeling at a loss or feeling loss, feeling that something has slipped from our grasp. Lamenting, mourning. And so as we move through those stages of grief, it opens us up to be able to allow something solid, new, healthy in. If we're avoiding grief, we're going to get into a lot of trouble because we have to find a lot of ways to distract ourselves. And that's typically going to be toxic ways. Very rarely, when we're in a pattern of avoidance, are we acting out in wholly life-affirming, positive ways. We're usually we're looking for shortcuts to dealing with hard things. You can't avoid grief because it's like a boulder that's already rolling down the hill. It's already in motion. And to avoid feeling the brunt of it, having it really hit us and overcome us, and sometimes just run us over and bury us, we have to expend a lot of energy in placing that unalchemized or unfelt grief in what can deaden us or what can numb us, what can stave off the horror of allowing a feeling that comes with powerlessness, inevitability, and finality to really overtake us. Because really, with grief, there's nothing you can do about it other than work your way through it. There's no remedy to grief because you cannot bring back what is lost. And this Pisces full moon has us having huge werewolf moments about how we've bypassed healing, and we may have used spirituality, astrology, the idea of transcendence, romance, an ideal, throwing ourselves into service. But no matter what the choice we make to busy ourselves, no matter what it is, it's still sorry guys, I think I have a call on my phone. Hopefully that doesn't bother you. I don't think it's a legit number. We have to make a conscious choice to direct our attention to real wholeness and healing. And so that's where the popping of the illusion is coming. What did we think we were doing in order to get out of something? So it really is a finality of acceptance of what must be felt and accepted and surrendered to and moved through, or else we go back into the old world. We go back into finding external sources to save us, and We're going to place ourselves back into the false matrix, so we're a cog in the wheel instead of being master and commander of your own life. Because a real big part of coming out of false paradigms and coming out of the false matrix is grieving a world you thought was. This is a big initiation point when it comes to living a real life and being really authentic. Is you have to accept that if you're really surrendering, if you're really awakening, if you really are embracing yourself and healing, you are not going to live in a continuous state of bliss and orgasmic enjoyment. You are going to live a life where you allow for and embrace the entire spectrum of experience and feeling and evolution. Real transcendence is not just eating the Pisces icing off the top of the cake. This is what a lot of us are sold. A lot of the old sacrificial paradigms and romantic paradigms have been selling us this. And the truth is, even the most evolved, transcendent, awakened humans will experience grief, will experience anger, will experience a variety of emotions throughout a lifetime. But you know, when you're in your mastery at that level, that it's a part of life, you're not afraid of it, you allow for it, and it moves through. It does not become a state of stuckness, because that's what it is to be in the flow. When we're in an avoidance of grief or avoiding really transcending, there is a circling the drain. This is what the South Node in connected to the Sun in Virgo is showing us. It's like a circling of the grief. Or feeling at the same time encircled by it. And the possibility of loss, being engulfed by emotion. We really look at loss or grief. It's like this constant pothole, sinkhole that we'll always have to spend quite a bit of energy watching out for. So if you're watching out for, if you're positioning, if you are using tactics, you cannot be in the flow. That's in a position of treading water. And that does wear you that wears us out over the course of time, because we have energy going into places where it's not productive. When energy is going into avoiding something or keeping something under wraps, it's not in a proactive frame for us. It's like if you're in a boat and you have leaks that have popped up here. So you have oars. You have to put a lot of energy into using the oars. That is the energy of being in the flow, going towards the kind of life that we want. But if we have these leaks and we have to spend our energy addressing those leaks, bailing out water, that is all that focus, energy, time, and attention, worry put into something that is absolutely not productive. It is keeping us circling. This is the awareness we're coming to. Virgo is productive as shit. Virgo wants perfection. It wants the best result. We have disintegration in Pisces. And so we're looking at, where am I disintegrating? Where am I disintegrated? And if I see that, if I come to that awareness and I move through the deepest sadness, loss, grief, isolation, if I move through that, how can that make room to ground something real, productive, compatible, that's in the flow? So it's really a collective ripping at the seams when it comes to emotionally maturing in a very short amount of time. So for me, grief has always been the worst emotion. That's the one I've always been put most energy into seeking to avoid. So I'm the Enneagrammic number 4. All the Enneagram numbers have a specific emotion that they seek to avoid. It's the monster emotion that you have the hardest time with. And so it's a good thing to know your Enneagram number, to get really acquainted with that, because I can help you understand what your greatest weakness is when it comes to what feeling you can't process as easily, and what you often just don't allow into your life. Will curate a life that keeps that particular feared emotion out if we aren't prepared to handle it. So let me take a look at some of your questions here. I think I can read them. Yes, I can. It's light enough out here. Oh, Elaine's hitting your Mars. Mine too. Mine too. I haven't slept very well in a couple of nights. Time to heal. You're feeling so self-understood today. Really loving this awareness. Good. Excellent. It's working for you. Oh, just Oracle. It's right on your moon and Jupiter. Exactly 15 degrees. Moon-Jupiter conjunctions are nice to have in themselves, but this is something that's going to bring comfort to that. Moon to the moon is always a good thing. What's the significance of eclipses? Well, this one, because it's a lunar eclipse, it's talking about our inner life and our emotional life. Solar eclipses are about our external life, our masculine life. So we're dealing with feminine principles because we're looking at a lunar eclipse. We're looking at the yin side of life. Emotional mastery. We look more at mastery of our behavior and of our confidence and uh, our goals, our awareness of our use of energy. If we're looking at solar things, solar eclipses, so it gives us a 6-month period of time to work very specifically on the events that happen at a lunar or solar eclipse in relationship to whatever planet it's aspecting in your chart. Yes, this particular month, it's the peak, but it also extends for a 6-month period of time because the eclipses come really in 6-month bookends. So it's a super duper, and it's a blood moon eclipse. There's a few layers here that make it a super duper full moon. You could look at eclipses that way. Lost age. I still mourn a lost love from 2024. It sucks. There's a lot of us that are working through that. There's a lot of us that are working through, uh, twin flame cycles, alchemical cycles, separations, codependent relationships, relationships where there was a lot of illusion, relationships that ultimately aren't going to contribute to our well-being. Virgo, Neptune stuff. So we let go of those illusory relationships so we can have relationships that are real. Pardeep. You've always wondered what unaspected planets and composite mean. Well, that's a piece of the relationship. It's a combined function, the behavior that doesn't have a tether to any other functions. So it's like the wild card in a relationship. So let's say we have an unaspected Mars. The rest of the chart, let's say, is pretty mild. And so it's a, fairly, peaceful, respectful, more understated relationship until the Martian function between the two of us asserts itself. So you need to look at the natal charts of the two and see what is the natal predisposition when it comes to the temperaments Mars. What does that look like? Do we have both that are, got their head screwed on straight? Do I have two that are starting bar fights? Do I have one that's spicier than the other? The one is mild, the other one's more aggressive. That's what you're going to have to look at to see what's the combination of Mars made of in the composite. because that's going to be what the wild card looks like. That's going to be that part of the relationship that doesn't have any reference to anything else that we're doing. So, say both of us have a pretty, we have more of an aggressive Mars or a touchy Mars. An unaspected Mars in a composite chart is gonna act like we're gonna have a knee-jerk reaction there. And it's gonna be very out of alignment. You could look at it like an in conjunction, an unaspected planet, because it doesn't have any like tether or what is it? It's not connected to anything else. It's just like if we get hot under the collar, if we get competitive, if we feel disturbed, we just might act like a couple of idiots. You might hear us arguing down the street, whereas everything else in the relationship is functioning like a well-oiled machine. So that's kind of an unusual thing to see, an unaspected planet. So when you do, you just really want to trace it back to the natals and see what is what does it look like in its combination, and yeah, what is it made up of? Okay. Yeah, maybe I should give a um, module on the Enneagram. I've never taught that before, but it's a really valid system of breaking down personality and understanding motivations, and more based on numerology. If that's something that you want, let me know. My apprentices probably want that. I think we've talked about that briefly, but I just haven't been able to fit that in yet. Venusian stud, your moon and south node are in Pisces with the moon of 14 degrees in the 10th. I think this energy may have hit me a little earlier with getting shit together. Yeah, well, you do have it at 14 degrees. So it is just a little bit early when it comes to having the opposition come in, but anything within 5 degrees on either side, 10 degrees to 20 degrees in any sign, we're gonna experience this. Yes, Donnie, lunar eclipses emphasize internal awareness, introspection. We're dealing with the feminine aspects of things. Whether we're a masculine person or a feminine person. Yes, eclipses can be a time of endings. And no, it's not always physical bubbles. It can be bad habits, can be relationships, it can be patterns, it can be attitudes, it could be goals. But it's bringing a massive awareness. And generally, we don't have awareness and bring our attention to things that are working in our life. We are, sorry, I'm getting hit with the sprinkler. We're bringing our awareness and our attention, our focus to things that need healing, a little TLC. We generally don't spend time worrying about what's going well. So that's why eclipses bring this extra light, this extra amplification to what needs to be evolved beyond what. So things eclipse out of our life so we can make room. Oh, good. Time to heal. You're feeling the calmness today, the Pisces-ness. Ah, Joelle, today's sun is conjunct composite Venus. That's good. It's good for both of you. So mutual high vibe that comes with that. Very attractive. Oh, lost stage. Yeah. There's a few of us that have this on our Mars. Me too. Um, hey, Agnes. Yeah, this has had me looking at how sharp my sword can be. And does it always need to be? Donnie. You're looking at transits in a composite. Transit sun is conjunct composite moon, so you'll get that once a year. Transit moon is conjunct composite Mars. You'll get that once a month. So on the same day, you're having a feeling of completeness when it comes to sun to moon, what you're both feeling and needing and doing. Is very much on the same page. So there's a high degree of acting with integrity on the needs and the emotions. And then moon being with Mars is showing that there's some passion there, but it's not something that indicates conflict that needs to be worked out today. So it's a good day. Lost stage. Virgo Pisces is also the employed, unemployed axis. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And this can show socially, collectively, upcoming 6-month period of disintegration when it comes to regularity, regular employment, daily life. Health and wellness. Oh, hello, Lana. Donnie, you didn't realize that transit sun or moon could be impactful. Oh, yeah, definitely. They are timers. The sun, more obviously, but the moon is something that can show like kind of the second hand on all of the other transits of our life. Okay, Sarah, you're interested. Okay, nice. I'm trying to think of what courses and classes I should run this year. I just have my regular transit course going on Wednesdays. We're just getting through solar returns right now, learning about solar returns. And then I meet on Saturdays for technical questions with my apprentice group, or we'll play a game. I like to invent astrology games. They're fun. Lame, but fun. And then we meet on Sundays also. So trying to figure out what to add. So if you guys have any ideas, what modules you would be interested in. I also very far into my aspects book and a workbook also, just a basic natal chart interpretation workbook. So if that's something that you're interested in, let me know. I'm thinking about having a fundraiser because I would like to get my tarot tarot card decks out. Upon looking and doing the research, it's not going to be cheap to do. So I'm thinking about maybe having a fundraiser or pre-order that would make that more possible. Because I don't know that I want to finance all of that on my own. And coming into the new world and the new paradigm, and we have more community-based, like community-assisted creativity coming in. Because we're coming out of the adherence to old, more monolithic institutions and coming more into patronizing more cottage industries or individuals. Okay. Galactic woman, you have Mars and Pisces at 14 degree, opposite Venus and Jupiter. One possible relationship has been abandoned today. Clarity. Good. So you've seen through something. That is a spicy opposition to have. And Mars and Pisces can sometimes allow more to cross over our boundary, to permeate our armor than Mars would in other signs. Is it the nature of Pisces, where we want to give the benefit of the doubt. We want to see the best in everything. And so we don't tend to be as forceful or as mean or as sometimes as what is the word? There's a good word for it. Ruthless. To act without emotion. It doesn't mean we're evil, ruthlessness. It means we're acting without emotion. Sometimes we need to do that with Mars in the water signs in order to get the best result. Because if we do get caught up in that feeling state, we might never make progress. So we want to know what our feelings are. We don't want to be cut off from that. But we can't always let just our current feeling state create the whole picture or be the whole guidance or an arrow of trajectory for us, because we can end up going like a fish. So sometimes we have to think like a man with Mars in emotional signs. And we may just have to, reference our feelings, know what they are, and put that on the back burner in the interest of our own self-interest. It might be an awareness you're coming to. Because you have to reach a very precarious balance between Venus and Mars in those particular signs. That does tend to put us in a position where we're going to experience more war or conflicts or acute battle of the sexes with that opposition. Because it is that constant conflict that allows for that chasing, push-pull polarity that is very sexy, but when it's so extreme, it's disruptive. It's not contributing, sexy chemistry and need to, put our energy into balance and working together. It's just creating a constant battle or war, which can be unproductive. ER, you have Pisces in the 11th. This is the last day of you being in the military. Yep, 11th house of groups, so it's the end for you. Yeah, now you can think about what you want to be doing. What's the next step in your life? More of a creative choice coming up. Yes, Agnes, it will show up in your progress chart, this particular lunation event. Yep. Oh, and you've got your progress moon is exactly 15 degrees of Pisces. So this is meant to be. That's quite the timer here. You letting go of some habitual emotional patterns that have been keeping you from having your comfort be more with that guidance, more from higher source or the complete awareness of self, being aware of yourself. Galactic Woman, Progress Composite. You've been finding that's more responsive to transits than the natal composite. Oh, well, that's a thing. Looking at both is a thing. You're interested, Donnie, in annual perfections. Yeah, it is a pretty simple thing to learn. We could have a lesson on that. Bubbles, you haven't been finding a lot of info on secondary progressions. I have an entire playlist on secondary progressions where I taught that entire, I think we spent 3 or 4 months on that module. If that's something you're interested in, then you could email me at my website and I can send you, I can dig that playlist out for you. And I might teach that class again. Whatever classes I teach in the future, I'm compiling a workbook at the same time. So there'll be more teaching tools that are included. Time to heal. You want to work with cards too. You've been working with your cards more lately. A lot of people have. They've been getting more into tarot in the past 2, 3 years, especially young people. They've developed a real interest in archetypes. And I think that that's I think that's indicative of us coming into an age where there's less organization, there's less organized institutions, there's less organized religion, less tradition, and young people, and I have a very young audience. Most of my audience is between 18 and 36 years old, with most of the concentration in their early to late 20s. And I've actually been getting a lot more young men too, like young dudes, like in their 20s. And I think that's a function of the disillusionment with a lot of the leaders and gurus in the manosphere and in the current culture that are looking to offer young men perspectives and understandings about the world. Some of that's starting to fall apart. So we're probably seeing a shift overall of that segment finding new or more evolved sources. That's my guess. It's probably not just me. But most of my audience is very young, and they're coming to astrology because they're looking for some kind of system to be able to explain the universe, the world, reality, themselves. And astrology is not, nobody owns it. There's no like institution of astrology. There's no unified consensus body of astrology. It's something that's available to all of us, and it's free. And it works. And it brings comfort. And it brings insight. It brings community. And so it makes sense to me that astrology, philosophies like Wicca, Buddhism, Eastern philosophies, some humanistic philosophies that do include some measure of spirituality, it makes sense why young people are gravitating towards that. There's just not a lot to believe in. There's a lot of confusion right now, and those old systems, they are going extinct. The old religions are going to go extinct. And I cannot remember what got me on that. Somebody had a question about that, and I got totally lost and went off into Jewelville. So, next, let's see. Maria, you have natal moon in Pisces in the 15th degree. A lot of you have 15-degree planets. Look at you all. Well, 15 degree and 4th, what would you suggest about this position regarding the occurring eclipse? Open your heart. Be willing to let out whatever is hardening your heart. A soft heart is a vulnerable heart, which means it's strong. Vulnerability is a strength. If you don't understand vulnerability, you'll see it as a weakness. You'll see it as something to be avoided because it gives others an advantage. Vulnerability is something that requires an enormous amount of bravery and the capacity to handle rejection and whatever spectrum of feelings may arise, and situations or conditions or outcomes. It requires emotional mastery. So I think that's what you're working towards, because your moon is smack dab there. So you're letting go of habitual emotional patterns that are keeping the shell, that Saturnian shell, around the moon, which is our feelings. That if we don't let that out, if we don't admit what's going on inside of us, how can we be known? How can we ever be known? Peter, I hope to see you once happy again. Is that for me? I have a very happy life. I am still working through some grief related to a really painful relationship I'm still working through, but nothing lasts forever. Time to heal. You want natal, solar returns, progression, solar arc. You know least about solar arc. I don't really use solar arc. I know about it, but I don't tend to use it. I tend to just use progressions, and that's enough for me. Donnie, your progressed sun is conjunct the south node. Well, that's a year-long progression, if it's at your natal south node. So you're going to be having some patterns of expression that no longer serve you, structures of identity that are flushing away. You're probably going to get tired of yourself over the course of time with that one. It's usually easier when it happens that way because it's just like, yeah, I'm finished with that part of myself. And we're just so happy to have a garage sale rather than feel like, parts of us are like a Pluto thing, like parts of us are being ripped away. Not so much with a progressed sun to south node. It's an easier process. Me too, Barbara. I love that astrology is a free agent as well. It belongs to all of us. AWBW, when the midpoint of one person's sun, Uranus square conjoins another's natal sun. Would this be an aspect of disruption or integration? There's a sun moon midpoint is seen as a point of integration. No, but that isn't the sun moon midpoint. That's the sun Uranus square midpoint. So where the sun Uranus person is rebellious and stinky is going to be where the sun person will have their personal expression, willingness to be seen and validated running right through that particular energy. So look at it like when a planet is, someone's planet is like at a midpoint like that, look at it like a game of Red Rover, Red Rover. Did you ever play that as a child? So it's one planet over here, one planet over here, and they've got their arms together, right? Planet here, planet here. So what's Sun, Uranus, and they've got their arms like this. They're like, Red Rover, Red Rover, send the sun right over. And the sun has to try to break through. That's the energy, the confidence, the way the sun person wants to be seen and validated. It has to break through this energy, right? So the microphone is the sun, right? It's coming through. Here it comes. It's trying to get through. Oh, it may not. Depending on how hell-bent the sun Uranus person is on resisting, because that's where a lot of the identity structure, a lot of what makes me think of me as me, as special, as unique, or as valid, is that idea that I'm the rebel, I'm the outlier, or I'm the one that's not accepted, or I'm the one that's always on the fringe. And a lot of times it's because I have better information or knowledge. There's just a bunch of followers. I'm the progressive one over here. And sometimes that might be true. A lot of times it's not. It's just a way to rebel against most things, and to erect an identity, at least partially built on, specialness or isolation, because nobody understands us because we're brilliant or ahead of our time. So the sun person, again, there's going to have to hope that they break through that membrane of not wanting to agree with people. Oh, thank you. Time to hear my teal nails. I did these. I painted these just the other day. But look how gross they are because I've been digging in the dirt. I never learned my lesson. I paint my nails, then I immediately start digging in the dirt because I like both things. Um, let's see, Maria, you've been following me since middle school. Sweetie. Lost Age. I don't know who that is. I don't have TikTok, so I don't see any of those things. Time to heal. It sounds like you're having a fabulous meal. I'm going to go inside and heat up some of the homemade macaroni and cheese I made last night, which I have to have broccoli with. I have to. I must have broccoli with homemade macaroni and cheese, or I just can't tolerate it. Time to heal. Dirt nails is the best. Yes, along with my missing tooth. Yeah, I noticed that. I lost my baby tooth last month. Yeah, last month. It was the only baby tooth I had, and it had a really good root on it. I thought I'd have it for the rest of my life, but I bit into a dried mango and it dislodged my tooth. So, yeah, it's a process to get that fixed. And I'm sad because it was the cutest tooth I had. I kept it. My mom has to come and give me 25 cents. That's what I used to get as a child from the tooth fairy. I had super cheap parents, even at the time. I mean, even in the 70s, 25 cents was a pretty low ball offer for a tooth. So I was ribbing her about that the other day. Jennifer, what about when you have planets conjunct the South Node in Composite? Is a relationship not meant to be? No, 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 it's fine. It's fine. It's that won't keep a relationship from legitimizing or being happy or continuous or long term, but it is showing that both of you are drawn into more cyclical or karmic patterns. It's harder to get into the flow of things when we're dealing with each other more through karmic patterns. So sometimes the karma's fine, actually. It's not, I mean, it's fine in the sense that it's not disruptive it's not showing conflict. It may not be going anywhere. It may not be contributing to the Dharma or the higher evolution, but that is okay. I mean, we can have other things going on that are growth inspiring or leading us, more towards a higher path or dharmic purpose. But if we have things at the South Node that are contentious, that is something that we want to watch out for, because that's where we see those karmic patterns that will contribute to a plutonic or karmic negative interaction in a relationship. But you have to look at everything to determine if that one's going to be um, more innocuous or a bigger deal. Imogen, Sun square his Pluto in Sinistry. He won't let me break up with him. Oh my good. I smell a trauma bond, my dear. If somebody's trying to keep you around because of their inability to manage their own emotions, or because they're so addicted to you, or because they're so convinced that they can't live without you, you are in a manipulative trauma bond where you are only going to be able to live in a way that does not disrupt that person's needs for security. It is never good to give in to those kinds of manipulations. It actually ends up weakening the other person and contributing to very bad character traits. Really solidifying, because you're training somebody that you're in a relationship with for how they are also going to treat other people. And if you're in a relationship where somebody is using your guilt or your compassion, your loyalty against you, and you're giving into that, you're training them and teaching them that they can also do that to other people. Don't give in to that, my dear. You have to do what's authentic for you, even if somebody else is going to have a hard time with it. Ooh, Donnie, you just got a root canal. You had to get 3 done in 1, 2. Oh, wow. That sounds extensive. I find that I fall asleep at the dentist now. At least I have insurance, Donnie. But it is extremely expensive. You're right. But I fall asleep at the dentist and I snore so bad. It is so bad. It is bad. Yeah, it's bad. So as soon as I fall asleep, it like just like the second before I even know I fall asleep, it's this in the dentist chair. It's so embarrassing. So now I just go in and I just explain it. I'm just honest about it. I can't stay awake in the dentist chair. I'm going to immediately fall asleep, and it's not going to be pretty. Here's your $6,000. Um, let's see. You guys are talkative today. I'm going to have to sign off here in just a second. Emma Jane, debilitated Venus square Pluto in your natal. So there's a couple of layers there. That's something I talked about in the last live, I think. I don't, maybe not. I talk about this a lot, but we look for layers in astrology. When we have a planet that's in a difficult sign, or it's in a difficult house, maybe it has a difficult aspect. Maybe it's even in addition at like the difficult midpoint of something or something else going on. If we have multiple layers of things, then that does tend to contribute to more of an extreme outcome. It adds weight and to what might just be, say, with just Venus, maybe, and what was it? And I don't think it says. Just debilitated, just a debilitated Venus. Just having that, that's one thing. But if it's also, I mean, multiple other difficult things, and we'll be experiencing more obsession, more loss, more isolation. There's just going to be more plutonic karmic lessons to work through. Yeah, VNS. I agree. We can have great lives, but we can't control when we may experience grief. And we can have everything we want in life. We can have an ideal life and still be somebody that's going to have to move through a variety of difficult emotions in life. And because being enlightened, being integrated, being more in your mastery, that is not a guarantee that you will get to avoid a variety of teaching experience or evolutionarily inspiring experiences. And sometimes it's going to be loss, it'll be death, it could be grief, it could be illness. We don't get a you've entered heaven free card. If we're living life on a total spectrum. Oh, Imogene's debilitated in Virgo. So the perfectionism. Remember, perfection is the enemy of good enough. Good enough can be good. If we're waiting for every single part to come in, that's usually an avoidance of diving in and embracing the flow. Uh, HLN. Can you say something about Chiron transiting the sun in the 7th? So Chiron transits take a while. We have about a year where it's going back and forth. And that is something that can have us really raw when it comes to not getting the kind of validity, attention, um, applause we're looking for. It's going to be asking you to work through any confidence issues, issues related to your attractiveness, your feeling like you get to take up space. For some people, that's an easier lesson because we have more self-appreciation or healthy self-esteem to begin with, and others not so much. So we have to look at what is it that you're healing. But it's about a year of feeling a bit raw. Yes, time to heal. These are the most delicious grapes. Oh God, they are so good. Uh-huh. Some of them are so fat. I just come out here and I stand and I just eat grapes several times a day. I'm gonna take a little break here. They're not Concord. I don't like Concord because they're so snotty. And then that seed in the middle, they're like that snotty, mucusy texture. These are table grapes. I don't have any wine grapes around here. I don't like wine. I've tried. I've tried to like alcohol. I can't. I think it's absolutely disgusting. I can detect alcohol in parts per billion. Maybe a tiki drink, like the really sugary rum drinks, I can tolerate that. Not very much. And I don't usually volunteer for that. It'll usually be my mother if we're on vacation or something. She's the one who has us up to the bar in our bikinis. And I usually have to go back to the room right after and take a nap after I finished that much of a tiki drink. So, yeah, I've tried to like wine, because I tried to be a classy person. No, ain't gonna work. It's gross. But yeah, we've got amazing fruit around here. Maybe I should give you guys a tour. Maybe it's time for a garden tour this late in the season. Yeah, we have Canada's grapes. Canada's grapes over there. I don't know what these are. They're delicious, is what they are. Last year, I swear I gained 2 pounds of grape weight. ER, can I do an interpretation? A progressed moon in the 8th house in Capricorn. Thank you for the donation. I'm trying to like it, but it's trying. Okay, if I accidentally ban you, that was not supposed to happen. Okay, I can do interpret progressed moon in the 8th house in Capricorn. So it's going through Capricorn. So that's a 2.5 year period of time where you're getting your shit together. I have the progressed moon in Virgo. You have the progressed moon in Capricorn. Say somebody else has the progressed moon in Taurus. Those are the earth signs that the moon is going to be progressing through. And that is where we take stock. We make grounded, measurable progress. So this is coming out of the progressive moon in Sagittarius. And that was a previous 2.5 year period of time of rapid growth and evolution, very dynamic, romantic, libidinous, meaning horny, progression. The progressed moon in all of the fire signs is going to be a dating season, or you have a very social season. Not so much but now the moon coming into Capricorn. That's like the brakes are put on, hard brakes, when the moon comes into Capricorn. Now you're looking at adulting. Um, do you got enough steaks in the freezer? Are you in a position to have the kind of partner or spouse or dependents, or be a provider of sorts? What needs to happen in order for you to have the kind of like personal, sorry, I got a bug, personal institutions come in and ground into your life? So this is where, are you a dude? Are you a dude? If so, you are coming into your era of like kingship, the divine, the period of time where we develop more of the emperor qualities, the balanced kings. So you balance the warrior, yes, you are a dude. So you're balancing the warrior, the magician, the father archetype, the lover archetype. You're doing some hardcore work with it in Capricorn, and then it coming through the 8th. Ooh. Okay. So you're doing all that straightening up and leveling up and coming into more emotional mastery. They're not reactive. We are active with the progressed moon in Capricorn. And that's coming through an area of life where the circumstances and the conditions with which you will develop that adulting, that mastery, that stick-to-itiveness, the ability to do hard things, reparenting, individuation, all that boring shit in Capricorn. It's happening in the circumstances that are actually quite difficult. That's happening among conditions, circumstances, people, places, things, situations that are more cumbersome or about conflict. So we have that steady progress that is happening over that 2.5-year period of time. But see, typically, if the progressed moon in Capricorn, say, was in a more grounded house, or house that was like naturally sextile or trine to Capricorn, it would be more of a consistent, steady ascent towards mastery, the individuation process, you getting to own yourself. But because it's in the 8th house, it goes more like this. Because you're going to come across, while you're going through that uphill climb, you're going to come across intense circumstances and conditions that are providing the alchemy, or the way, the reason, the why for that steady development. So by the time you get to the end of that progression, and the moon progresses into Aquarius, you're going to feel incredibly free, like light, like you've taken the biggest emotional dump of your life, or shed a backpack of some kind. There's a giant fat grape here, and I keep staring at it. Oh my God. And you're going to get to the top and feel like it was all worth it. It is a harder progression, though, going through the eighth. I remember I had, I think my moon, yeah, progressed through the eighth. Mm, I think when it was in Aries. I have to look back. That was quite a few years ago. Ryan, can I speak on this full moon in Pisces for Cancer rising? You also have natal moon in Pisces in the eighth. A lot of you in this audience have moon in Pisces. Um, okay, so Cancer rising. This is going to be affecting, yeah, it's going to be trine to the ascendant. So you're going to want to look at where Neptune is for you, because that's ruling that area of life. That's ruling the eighth house. That's a derivative effect. But this is going to be illuminating trust issues, attachment issues, because that's the moon in Pisces in the eighth. What is it that you look to escape into to find comfort, safety, security? Mother wounds, searching out intense involvements, how you may have traumatized yourself by being drawn to more, peak experiences, intense experiences that may have been emotionally volatile or experience some amount of emotional violence, conflict. I think you're going to be looking at how can you recognize when you are in an unsafe environment or situation, how to transcend that experience of enormous amounts of sensitivity, but it's always been in an area of life where there's almost a consistent fear or a dread. I wish I had my cards. I'm seeing 4 of swords, which is rest, solitude, pulling yourself out from the fight, putting your sword down, being on the sidelines. Nurture, repair, forgive yourself for ever wanting anything or being attracted to anything that was less than you deserved. That's a lot of emotional awareness, repair, forgiveness happening in that really, really intense area of life. Okay, so Neptune is going to help you to repair. Neptune is in a very, Neptune is in Capricorn in the sixth. It's a very practical place for Neptune to be. Typically is not a practical influence, but we see the matters of the eighth come through and are served by the matters of the sixth. This can be very helpful. So the planet that's really ruling this whole lunation event, you could say the boss of the moon, the higher function, it's finding a path to real healing, an appreciation of what's tangible, what can be held and seen, known, felt, tasted. I think this is going to lead to an acceptance of and an attraction to what is available to you in life, what and who is available to you and good for you. Even if it may not meet a previous, more youthful ideal, you see it for what it is. It's healthy, it's regular, it's reciprocal, it's worth your time and your attention. A lot of healing in the 8th house for you. Lost age. Do I look at just the progressed chart as a standalone or against the natal? What is that thing there? There as more longer term transits. I look at both. I look at the progress on its own, and then I look at it in relationship to the natal to show me timing. Timing, what is coming in, and what can we expect in terms of events. Okay, guys, I'm going to get going. I've been standing here talking to you for an hour and a half, and it's felt like 10 minutes. That went so fast. It was nice to catch up with you guys again. I am going live regularly in my membership group. If you do want to join that, you can join us live. You can ask me anything. I'm probably going to continue with the schedule that I had last week. I think I popped in Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday, but I'll announce that. And I might shift it from week to week. So people that have different schedules can have a better chance of catching me. Oh, I do have really cute hummingbirds. Yeah, time to heal. I have cute everything around here. Hummingbirds have always loved my red hair. They come and circle around my red hair and want to sip from my hair. I had this one hummingbird that really developed an attraction to me at my Vancouver house. We called him Shaky Butt. And he would follow me all around the yard. I was upstairs brushing my teeth because I had a second-story bathroom window, and I heard this chirping, tee, 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 and I look out, and there he is. He's outside the window, hovering around, watching me brush my teeth. I've had a interesting relationship with hummingbirds all my life. Okay, guys, I will catch you soon. You have a great night.